From now until next Wednesday, Code Espresso gets you 30% off your entire order at gfuel.com. So whether or not you want to check out a new flavor, grab a restock, or just want to try it out for the first time, be sure to use Code Espresso for 30% off your order. Link in the description below. Tuesday, Black Ops 4 got update 1.19. We've talked about that here extensively on the channel, but we also talked about the fact that the PC version would have their 1.18 update delayed until, well, today, Thursday. And as it happens, that update is rolled out. PC players should now have the functionality and abilities that came along with that one live for that they can jump on and play for themselves. But while I'm sure the majority of people here on the channel that are watching aren't on PC, what's interesting about this is that with every PC update, it opens up the subject of data mined game files and things that are in the game right now, but not necessarily public, but give us an accurate depiction of what is coming up in the upcoming weeks. So today we're gonna break down what this gave us some insight into and some of the stuff that came along with it. And as we round into what is going to be a mini event here with this upcoming week, presumably, and then Operation 5 kicking off the week following that, one thing to note is they'll keep you updated with all this kind of stuff. So if you're interested in anything Black Ops 4, anything Call of Duty remotely, maybe considering that subscribe button. And with 63% of viewers not subscribed, no pressure, but if you guys want some updates for Black Ops 4 and daily content, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. All the content we're gonna be discussing here in this video comes to us from our good friend Josh. We've talked about him many times here on the channel. Please do go check him out. His link will be down there in the description below. Go show him some love. And as always, that's where we're gonna be able to see the stuff that we're talking about here with this. I can't put the items up on screen for you guys because until it goes public, it's still technically intellectual property of Activision and Treyarch. But those housekeeping things out of the way, let's jump into the content. Firstly, let's start out with probably the biggest bombshell here out of this. New weapons were added into the game files for this update. Not necessarily the update that kicks off Operation 5 and everything that comes along with it, but we have a preview for what may be our next Operation weapons. These, unfortunately, are a lot of sort of legacy weapons. It seems like one is newer, but still a playoff of what we've seen before, and then one is also something that is, again, the same likeliness, but different model, and the other two are directly from Black Ops 3. So those weapons include the Argus shotgun, the M16, what looks like a crossbow, and then a zombie arm like the lefty melee weapon from Black Ops 3. So you see there's two weapons that are directly from Black Ops 3, one that seemingly has a counterpart in Black Ops 3, and then one that is just the same likeliness but different thematic change to it. Now, here's the thing. I can see this going one of two different ways, and honestly, both are equally likely. One, I like to say that this is going to be something, these are the weapons in the tiers for next Operation, and then it would equate out to being a tier 25 and a tier 50 reward for presumably what may be another 50-50 split on the Operation split, like we saw with Spectre Rising and with Days of Summer. They were just broken down from one 100 tier stream to two 50 tier streams. I'd love to say that that is going to be the case, but ultimately, well, we saw what happened within Days of Summer. 4 weapons were added into reserve, so it would not surprise me if that is the case, especially because these aren't really the most innovative weapons that we've seen so far, because 2 of them look to be exactly the same models from Black Ops 3, one being similar and one just being a thematic change. So it's possible these may be the legacy weapons that are added into reserves come the next Operation, but regardless, those are the weapons that we see in the game files right now. Outside of that, there is something that hopefully shouldn't be in reserves, but instead is something that's going to benefit the Call of Duty endowment, that being a new jump pack coming to Black Ops 4. This for Blackout, in which you end up getting a trail, a wingsuit, and then a parachute as well. It looks pretty cool, and I would imagine it's probably like $5 or so, where the proceeds of that goes to helping veterans out with job placement whenever they return stateside. I'm all for that aspect, and though I think that there's definitely some things that don't deserve to be paid items in Call of Duty, that's the one thing that consistently will stand out to me because it does go to help a good cause. But that's something that was added in as well. Another thing that stood out to me was a preview for what looked like a new death effect, in which it almost seemingly is like a fireworks death effect. Now, if I were to guess, this is going to be a tier item for the mini stream coming up, something that we know is going to happen with a mini event that's already been talked about by Treyarch. That's where we're going to end up seeing the Ultra Weapon Bribe introduced, which is presumably going to be coming this upcoming Tuesday, because it said by the end of the operation, and well, this upcoming week is the last week of the operation, so has to fit in there. And also, it would make sense for this to happen and this death effect to be added in because, well, this upcoming Tuesday is July 2nd, and, well, the 4th of July is a big thing here in the States where the game is developed and created, and the 4th falls within that week of that mini stream, so it would be time for players to end up getting those items here with us, and that we may end up seeing a 4th of July or Independence Day themed little mini event to close off Operation Spectre Rising and Days of Summer. So keep an eye out for that one, but that was something added in that piqued my interest a little bit here with this. this and may lead to other things. Another thing that was added in is one that's definitely curious to me, but is maybe a good swing here, because this is actually a repurposed bribe bundle that we saw from Days of Summer's update. These were introduced in the game files of that update, but they're now a little bit changed, because what we see is these are the same bundles that we saw for Zero and Battery that came along with crates and a weapon bribe, and that uniform as well for the two respective specialist characters. But these were repurposed so that they now include an ultra weapon bribe, so that means that it will guarantee a new DLC weapon of currently the Locust, Peacekeeper, Ballistic Knife, S6 Stingray, or potentially again those other weapons that we talked about that may be added in at some point, probably next operation though. But that's something that is curious, but I'm also slightly concerned about, because a weapon bribe already in my mind would have jacked up the price for this, because we have those crates, which will probably already make it $10 plus a uniform, maybe 12. So maybe the lowest price point to expect that would be $15 to $20. But if it's an ultra weapon bribe, that means you're guaranteed a weapon of those four that are not just Mark IIs, but are actual weapons. And so with that means that it's probably going to hike up the price even more, which is scary to me, because to me that makes maybe the minimal price point we see for these bundles be $20. But I'm more so expecting it to be around the $30 price point, which is absolutely insane, but it's not out of the realms of possibilities, especially given what we've seen so far in Black Ops 4. So cool to see that ultra weapon bribes are being introduced in more different ways. I'm just terrified of the price point they're introduced at. Talking reserve content and crates, one thing that was also introduced here was some imagery for no duplicate crates that are coming at some point, which is one of two things. Awesome and about time for the first portion of this here. We're 9, almost 10 months into Black Ops 4's life cycle, and we're just now getting our first no duplicate thing here with this. But also, again, terrifying, because the image showcased here is not reserves, but instead the crates. It's not the reserve cases, but the crates themselves, the items that you actually have to buy. So that means that probably you're just going to have to pay maybe 300 COD points for a no dupe reserve crate. Or maybe it's a limited time offer thing where it's something that you can get that for a week. But still, again, there's no alternative so far in the game files that showcases that it's going to be reserve cases and crates, something that you can get organically or also pay for. So again, a little terrified at the prospect of the implications this may have, but also there is some slight hope and promise here with this. The final thing, talking reserve content again, is that there also is what looks like a daily message image that showcases reserve cases with XP behind them. Now, I don't know what this would mean or allude to, but it's also something interesting to note that what we see with this is almost identical to what we saw with that 25% boost image that we saw either with the Days of Summer update, or I think it might have been the Spectre Rising update that we never saw. So who knows what this is for? I truly don't, but it was worth noting and something that I want to let you know about. But outside of this, we also saw the icon for Blackjack Stash keys. Now, this is actually something that is in the game now, and I can actually show you because it's in the game on PlayStation 4. I do think that it might be a little bit bugged, but this is live right now and has no real discernible purpose as of yet. When I've played with this since the update, there seems to have been 2 that spawn in the inventory next to your paint cans, but personally, I still don't know how these work out entirely. Our first thought whenever I was playing with my group of friends was that 2 spawn in your inventory, and then you take a weapon out and it deducts 1 for each weapon out of the stashes. So maybe that's the case, but it also was something that seemingly, again, was bugged, where you could take a weapon out or multiple weapons and see no change or only 1 removed from your inventory. So maybe it's something that it is sort of a stash use per game, where you can enter 2 stashes, and every time you enter, it takes 1 away. But until it's cleared up, we don't exactly know. And again, I do think it is a little buggy, but those were added in and is visible in the game files right now, as well as the playable game in some aspects. Apparently, there are also a couple of blackout characters that were found here in this one. As of the time of recording this, though, this information is incomplete, but it would follow suit that we end up having things introduced for the next operation that are along the lines of new characters as well. Now, this next part that we're going to round out the video with, I do want to say very, very heavily, if you do not want zombie spoilers, click off now. You've gotten the majority of the content here with this, but this is definitely spoiler territory. So I'll give you a couple of seconds here. and we'll jump into it, but just want to make that known, you're entering spoiler territory. So amidst the teasers we've been getting from Treyarch and the official Call of Duty accounts for what is going to be DLC 3 in terms of zombies coming on the 9th, we ended up getting a couple of those images, but a lot of this stuff was actually in the game files. Now, I think Josh is like me where I don't want to spoil too much and I don't want to say anything that could ruin the experience at launch. So some of the stuff here isn't posted by him and is just out there. It doesn't have anything that you can visibly watch, but the intro and outro for DLC 3 seems to be in these game files, and there's an image for Nuketown, which is something that we've known about for quite some time, actually, when a QA tester ended up leaking all this kind of stuff on Reddit months and months and months back, closer to launch, actually. But that stuff is added in here with this, which I think will make some people happy to see it return, but also ultimately, I think, be another thing of, well, why is this another recycled map? Kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, but I understand completely that there's going to be some praise and ultimately some massive hate here for this if this is the only thing that's given. But ultimately, on top of that, we end up seeing that there's some new zombies that may be introduced with this map, as well as some variations on old ones. There's a new perk seemingly called Blood Wolf Bite. There's Rush for Nuketown, and also 2 new elixirs added into the game files as well. So that is the information at a top-down perspective and a minimum without going too far into details. Apparently there's also Easter egg steps that may be tied along with this that honestly I don't know. I've seen that this has happened before, but they haven't been right, so take that part with a grain of salt. They're kind of used as decoys sometimes, but ultimately that is what we learned from the PC update here for Black Ops 4 as of today. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is there anything in particular that you're really looking forward to here at this? Are you looking forward to the ultra weapon bribes? Are you looking forward to maybe the new weapons, hopefully again in tiers? I really don't want to see those added into reserves, but whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below, and of course if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I can live on both those, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But let's end out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.